Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Scott's podcast series. I am delighted to welcome Zack Price, a sports advisor for gambling, sportsbook guru. The guy's got things figured out. And this is a personal podcast too. Zack grew up right across the street from me. Pepper Pike, Ohio, was in David's grade. Big history, man. This is personal. This is professional. Zack, welcome to the podcast. How's it going, man?
Scott, it's amazing to be here with you. Your podcast is amazing. I love your social media posts. You've really got the energy going on these days. And, I got my Cavs jersey on, but, I got the Browns hat on too. I know the Friedman family is just such big supporters of Cleveland sports. I mean, just looking across the way as a youngster, looking at you guys shoveling out Go Browns out of the snow in your front yard. I mean, this is just like, I'm so happy to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Quite the bit of memories, obviously, with David. I think you were too old, but we would play boot ball and just have a blast, like in the neighborhood through the years. And I know that you babysatted us when we were young kids fighting with Kevin and Kenny. So just so cool to have you on. It's so good that you're obviously doing well too. So why don't you give the viewers kind of a digest of what you've been doing? Obviously, you're a serial entrepreneur, many awesome ventures through the years, sportsworkout.com, which I think was way ahead of the time during the .com days. And obviously now you've evolved into a sports book mathematical genius. So why don't you recap everybody on your career?
I mean, Scott, we got to go back all the way back. I mean, we got to go all the way back. I mean, you talk about like when I used to babysit for you guys. I mean, we were slamming home like on the mini basketball hoops and everything. But when I was about 9 years old, my dad introduced me to baseball cards. 1989 was when it all started in that industry, really, with the Upper Deck series and the Ken Griffey Jr. rookies. And he would pick me up from school and we'd just rip open packs and learn all about all the baseball players. I would listen to Herb Score on the radio with the Indians losing 105 games year after year after year, yet still listening to every game in my bedroom late at night as they would just drop another one and another one. And but I got to know all the players and all the stats and righties and lefties and strategies. And so I was trying to pick up value from sports. So I started trading cards with my friends, and then I really started to like to go all to the local sports card shops, like on Mayfield Road. They had Coins and Cards, and in Solon they had another shop, and then they started sprouting up. There used to be a card show out in Strongsville that everyone would go to, a memorabilia show, and I started really getting a collection down. Not just the 80s and 90s cards, but going all the way back to the 50s. Whitey Ford, Mickey Mantles, all that good stuff. And I started noticing that when you find a trend, you can make some money. So, my heroes, Bo Jackson and Frank Thomas and all these, young sports players, our local hero, Joe Carter, ended up getting traded to the Blue Jays. And my brother, Rob, he was, my brother, Rob, he was all over that. And it's just, so we watch these guys, grow, just start growing in value. David, he was the basketball guy in my family, my littlest bro, and he was all over Shaquille O'Neal and Zoe Morning. And I was a big Latrell Sprewell fan, late first round draft pick. And so these cards started increasing in value. And so my collection started getting more valuable, and I was able to, buy cards low and sell them high. So I started selling cards. I started going to sports card shows, not just as a patron, but as a dealer. And now I'm about 10 years old. So I'm sitting there with all the cards laid out, Mark and Gail, my parents, behind me, making sure, everything's going fine. But I'm sitting there wheeling and dealing, talking with these, grown men about the baseball and the leagues. And so when I was 11, I started thinking, man, I'm so old now. I got to start making a career. And I actually produced a card show at our high school, the Orange High School. I talked to, the board of education and got some security, like local policemen to be there. My grandma Harriet, she bought a bunch of candy at CVS, and we sold it at the door, charged everybody to get in. And I got about 40 dealers to come to our Orange High School Commons room and set up their shop. And I collected a fee off the dealers' tables, a fee off all the candy Grandma Harriet was selling, a fee off of everyone that came in the door. I shelled out some money to the Orange Police and the Board of Education, and it was a great time. I did local advertising up on Lander Circle, put it in the the Beckett sports cards. And the next thing you know, we had several hundred people in there buying and selling cards. So that's kind of the start I got in sports as a business. I ended up, I ended up getting a nice internship at IMG downtown, the International Management Group, under my hero, Mark McCormick, the only guy I would ever work for. Unfortunately, he passed away right as I was about to get a job with them, but they managed Tiger Woods, my hero. And I saw through him how sports could really be big business. He invented sports marketing. And then I was at the University of Michigan, and I noticed how football tickets were just bought and sold like crazy there. We have all these, foreign students from Asia and from all these other places where they don't even care about football. And so they come to Michigan for a great education, but they don't care about football, yet they get the season ticket package because it's part of the deal. And so, all these tickets are going to waste. So I set up a website there called thediag.com, the Diag being the center of the University of Michigan campus. That's what it was called. Mm-hmm. And kind of set up a site for people to buy and sell Michigan football tickets. And again, people were taking their tickets they would buy for $15 through the university for the Ohio State game, sell them for $800-900. And, I quickly turned around that business and sold it. I didn't want to have to remarket the site to new students every 4 years. And I took a little bit of those funds, and me and my brothers, we started Sports Workout, which is a sports training guide, and turned into a big book series. It started from one little workout program that my brother Rob used as a football player at Orange High School, and we turned it into a book, and we started doing books for every sport. We started hiring experts to help out with that. We went with golf was like our biggest seller and my best sport. So we actually hired Annika Sorenstam, the greatest women's golfer ever. We hired her trainer to do a book. She wrote the foreword. Now she gives it to every single person that comes in her academy down at the Annika Academy. So, that's how I started getting into sports. And, here we are where sports has become legal to invest in. I call it investing because I'm not gambling here. I'm only making bets on things where I know I have an advantage. And if I don't have an advantage, I do what I take a called strike. In investing and in sports gambling, you don't have to swing at every pitch. No one's holding a gun to your head like in baseball where you get 3 strikes and you're out. You could take 100 strikes in a row and wait for that pitch down the middle. And when you get that pitch down the middle, you smack it out of the park. And so that's what I try to do with sports gambling, sports betting. I call it sports investing. And so far, it's just been a huge success. Since I started, I've never had a losing week. We're going on a couple hundred weeks now. And I'm just going to keep it rolling until they ban me from every sports book in the whole entire country.
That is impressive feat. And obviously with the Cavs, obviously the Cavs are the most surprising team in the NBA. I mean, this year, what they've accomplished so far, a great rookie class, obviously some injuries, but that bet last night, plus 230 against the Heat, a lot of people probably would have thought you were nuts for taking it. And of course, the Cavs blew them out by 20 plus. What you see in the trend of last night's game?
I mean, what I've been seeing, Scott, with the Cavs is what I've seen really since their first home game this year, which I think was about the 3rd game of the year or so. But I saw something in this Evan Mobley, this young rookie, that I haven't seen in a long, long time. In fact, as soon as I watched him play in that game, I immediately had visions of Chris Bosh, the lanky lefty who's, in the Hall of Fame, or at least he's going to be if he's not already, and won many titles with LeBron and everything. A power forward who could shoot, and he can move around, and he can rebound. But Chris Bosh never had the block shot. So I had another vision all of a sudden. Who does this guy remind me of? And Kevin Garnett came to mind, another tall, lanky, 6'11" forward, young, drafted 4th in the draft. I think so did Bosh, and I think so did Evan Mobley. So, or 3rd in the draft for Mobley, maybe. But this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with for many years to come. Right now, he's leading the league in attempted block shots. That means he's got his hands up when the guys are shooting. He's adjusting their shot. Everyone wants to just look at the statistics these days. But I'm telling you, I sit here and I watch every game. I monitor what's going on. I monitor the coaches' rotations, who's in, who's out, how the guys are playing. And they don't keep track in the box scores of how many shots you alter for the other team, how many times you're in a guy's face and then he misses the shot. And Evan Mobley leads the league in the NBA in his first, 15, 20 games by a long margin over guys like Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner. And so once I saw that and the Cavs just stopping teams in the middle, Then they have the fantastic center, Jared Allen, who we got in the James Harden trade. He almost never misses. And people say, what do you mean he never misses? Is he a great shooter? No, he gets the ball down low and he dunks the ball. He puts it in the hoop. And if he doesn't, he passes it around. But Evan Mobley, I saw some amazing things out of him on the defensive and the rebounding end. And he's a phenomenal passer. Again, you don't see this stuff in the box scores, but he makes the right pass. This kid can do it all. And when I saw them beat the Hawks in Cleveland, I said, this guy's going to win Rookie of the Year. So I started banging him at 14-1, suddenly dropped to 10-1. I just kept hitting him at 10-1, 9-1, 7.5-1. He got injured for a couple of games. I saw him at 6-1 again. He popped back up. I mean, this guy's going to win Rookie of the Year. All the listeners out there who are listening to the Scott Takes out in the future can look back to this podcast and say, oh yeah, he did win Rookie of the Year. And it seems so obvious in the future, but a few weeks ago, it didn't seem so obvious. And I'll tell you what, Scott, the bookmakers still don't know about Evan Mobley and the Cleveland Cavaliers. They still don't know. So when I saw plus 230 last night, I smashed it. When I saw over 6.5 rebounds for Mobley, I pounded it because he's averaging over 8 a game, and he's been over 6.5 rebounds now. Oh boy, 13 out of 17 games he's played. And so that's the kind of mathematical edge I'm talking about. Yeah, technically it's gambling, but guess what? So is buying a stock, so is starting a business. So I'm not gambling here. I'm investing, and I'm investing in the Cavs. I'm investing in the Cavs futures. I'm investing in the Cavs money lines. I think we're about 6 or 7 in a row where the Cavs have been over 2-1 on the money line. And I just keep hitting it, and they just give one every single time. So you got to pick your spots, take those called strikes when the matchup's not favorable. Mobley got injured. They lost 5 in a row. I stayed the heck away. As soon as he came back, I'm back on it.
Mm-hmm. Love it. So, I mean, obviously a lot goes into it. I mean, if you're like me or Mike through the years, just go to the sports book, bet the board. My boy Elio and Barnard, Dave Portnoy's best friend, massive in hockey, pretty successful, but you seem to have it wired down to a T. You literally go to the Pepsi Center in Denver and scout games of rotations and so forth that the sports books may not necessarily cover for you to make that calculated risk bet. Elaborate that more.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up Portnoy's boy, who, by the way, awesome pod with him, and he knows hockey. And I have a little saying here: I'm not cocky about hockey. Like I'm cocky about the NBA because I know what the heck I'm talking about. And so I go to every game and I watch the players, and I sit behind the opposing team's bench, and I see how they react, and I see how hungry they are. I have a saying here: hungry dogs run fast. So when you're hungry, you go after it. And when you're not hungry, like maybe the Lakers are this year or other teams, you kind of go through the motions, and guess what? That doesn't work. And so the Cavs are hungry. And when I went to see the Denver Nuggets play the Cavs, oh, by the way, another game the Cavs were like plus 280 on, smash the money line and watch the Cavs just take control the entire game. And so while I'm at the Pepsi Center, it's called Ball Arena now.
No, they got your sponsor.
Yeah. So I watch the game, and if I feel some energy off the game, which I can feel, after watching, Cavs games since the days of Mark Price and the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the 90s, Scott, and I know what big fans your family was. I know your dad was like a huge Cavs guy, and he used to go to the games, and obviously your mom and brothers. You get to know a team, and you get to know a franchise, and it is about franchises here. There is a culture built into this. And when I saw the Cavs play with just some hunger, and Kevin Love, I mean, I get to the game, Scott, before they start. I get there as soon as Ball Arena opens, which unfortunately is only an hour before the tip off, but I'm standing there waiting at the gates, ready. I'm chomping. I'm ready to get in. And as soon as I get in, I go right to the court and I watch to see who's practicing. And guess who the guy for the Cavs that was practicing? You won't believe it. Kevin Love, gray hair and all, is sitting there shooting backboard shots, doing moves, working off pick and rolls with some of the trainers. And I'm just like, these guys are here. These guys are ready to play. And so I get in, I felt the game, and then you could just live bet the game when you're feeling something. So last night I pounded the Cavs. I was watching the game in my home, and I brought up the odds, and I just kept hitting it and kept hitting it. I said, the Heat have no chance in this game. Sure enough, we won by 26 points. So going to the games, understanding what's going on is a huge part of it. And then, of course, knowing the fundamentals of the numbers and how the bookmakers make their odds is the second part. So with the NBA, I've got it both. Hockey, I can only do the odds. So if I do hockey, I'm playing the numbers. With NBA, I'm playing it all. And that's where I make my money.
NBA is definitely your forte, and definitely have a great niche there. really next question, obviously sports gambling in a nutshell. I mean, it's completely different. I mean, there no bookies really out there anymore. Most states are legalized. Obviously, Ohio's coming. Most states that don't have it is coming anytime. What do you think of like just the overall landscape of market share with DraftKings, FanDuel, obviously Barstool Sports is big in it with Portnoy, of just the overall competition of just like so many sites out there, so many options to bet, so many free bets being given by DraftKings, FanDuel when they enter markets to really take advantage of those offers, because that could be thousands of dollars. I know I took advantage last year in Virginia when I was living in DC with Mike, that literally I could sign up on every site and really get thousands of dollars of free bets.
You know, Scott, I'm so glad you brought that up. Nobody even mentions this in the podcast that I go on. So there's a whole mathematical formula that I use on these free bets. I'm happy to share it. I'm happy to reveal my secrets, because like I can't even bet at these places anymore. They've all limited my action to almost nothing. So you want to take advantage of all this stuff. When you get a free bet, and Scott, I'm sure you made the same mistake I did when I first signed up, is you're like, oh, I got a free bet. Let me find a game I like, and I'm going to put it on the game. And if I lose, they'll just give me my money back. No. You want to take the biggest underdog on the board you can find, okay, with your free bet. Because what happens with a free bet, and I'm going to get a little technical here. What happens with a free bet is when you bet it, if it wins, you don't get that free bet stake back. So if you get $1,000 free bet that a company gives you, which they used to give me all the time, and you bet it on, the Cavs to win, well, they'll give you the winnings, but the free bet disappears. Okay. So you don't actually get all that back. So What you want to do is you want to make the free bet worth as much as possible. And by doing that, you have to bet the longest odds as possible. So when I get free bets, I'm putting them on big underdogs, or I'm putting them on futures. And that's what I've started to do. I have a very sophisticated system with that. I don't recommend it to everybody, but I do find the longest futures I can find, and I bet them with the free bets. And then I put them on a marketplace where I can sell those bets, where people are willing to buy them. And that turns them into cash for me. So all the free bets I do get actually end up as cash in my pocket, not just promotional money. The team I'm doing it with this year, take one guess. I'll give you a clue. They play basketball and they're in Cleveland. They're 1,000 to 1 to win the NBA championship. And now they're down to 800 to 1, but I can't bet at that site anymore. So I've been putting on my free bets at 500 to 1. And I'm just using all my free bets on the Cavs, not because I think they're going to win the NBA championship. I don't, but because I know there's somebody out there who's willing to pay me 501, 401, 301, whatever it is. And when they buy that ticket from me, that free bet turns into cash. And so if you put the mathematical way to look at it is, if you get a free bet and you put it on the Cavs to win a game, let's just call it even money, and they win, you're technically getting 50% of value of that free bet. If you put the free bet on a team to win the championship at 500 to 1 and you sell it at 500 to 1, you're technically getting about 98% of that value back. So that's how I do free bets. If I was just going to recommend it to, like a novice or a guy who's having fun, when you get your free bet, just find a long shot, a 3 to 1 or 4 to 1 long shot on a game that you think they can actually win, and put it on that game. And when it wins, you don't get that free bet back, but you do get the multiple of 3 to 4 on that, which makes the percentage about 75% of your value.
And is Prop Swap the main site used to resell your live future tickets? Or is there obviously more sites out there now?
There's some other sites. I use Prop Swap exclusively. What a great site. They call me the market maker there, or the GOAT, and everyone knows what the GOAT means. But what market maker means is I'm taking guys to win the Masters. I'm taking teams to win the NBA championship. I'm taking Evan Mobley to win Rookie of the Year. And then I'm putting it up for sale on Prop Swap, which is where other people, even in a state like Ohio, can legally buy my property, quote unquote, a digital or a physical piece of paper that it might be worth $5 to someone, might be worth $1,000 to someone. And I'm selling it to them. Prop Swap just made a deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you go to those games, you will see their logo on the scoreboard. I think they made a deal with the Browns too. That is where I see that's where I exchange my bets and turn them into cash, or I just hedge my bets. If I don't think that if something happens, like Evan Mobley got injured, maybe I get a little nervous. What can I do? Well, I'm stuck with the bet. No, I just sell it to someone who believes in it more than me. So that's where I can turn it into a marketplace. I mentioned that I started the Diag, where people can buy and sell football tickets to each other. That's a two-way marketplace, buyers and sellers, meeting to find the value. So I understand that very well. Scott, when I started sportsworkout.com, eBay was the big thing, not Amazon. I sold everything on eBay, which is a marketplace. When I was at the University of Michigan, I studied the economics of marketplaces. So it's a specialty of mine, and I use it to the fullest extent that I can.
Fantastic insight, and just like how that's evolved in the last 2, 3, 4 years is amazing. Of people selling that, really, it's the sports betting of essentially the stock market of sports betting, up and down and getting out at the right time, which you seem to have mastered. And really, like, last question before we go into like your future picks for each league, where do you see the future of sports betting in the next like 5 to 10 years? Where's it going?
Okay, so sports betting will be legal again for you future Scott Take listeners who are listening to this years in advance from now. Every single state is going to have sports betting legalized, except for Utah and Hawaii. That's my belief. And we're going to see New York come through. Ohio, better believe they're going to come through. You got the Buckeyes, you got the Browns and the Bengals and the Indians and the Reds and the Cavs, obviously, and all the college football in Ohio. And of course, Ohio is a huge football state, starting with the high school teams, down in St. Ignatius and all that. So every state will have sports betting. I didn't fully get to answer your last question about the market shares and the DraftKings and the Barstools, but we will see major consolidation. We've seen a little bit, but I came out here to Colorado because when I was in Illinois, there was 5 sports books, okay? And 4 of them completely shut down my action within a couple of months of betting golf and NBA. And so I looked around the country and I said, where can I go? This is so lucrative. Where can I go, to just grab it while I can? And Colorado has 22 sports books versus 5 in Illinois. It's all due to taxes and regulations. And so, I'm here and I'm testing out the sports books. I think I've signed up for about 12. 9 of them I can barely bet at already after 2 or 3 months, but I'm saving the other 10 for a rainy day. And these are little tiny companies. These are a lot of them. Some of them are just very small. You've never heard of them. New ones are popping up every day. And there's so much money to be made out there that you're going to see DraftKings, Barstool, which is owned by Penn National. You're going to see FanDuel, which is owned by a company in the UK, and you're going to see MGM. Caesars has already started making acquisitions, and once you get past that, the companies get smaller. So my favorite sports book is a company out of Las Vegas. They're called CircaSports. They have promised me they will never ban my action. They make book like you're supposed to, which is when I bet with them, they know I'm a pro, and so they see my bet and they say, well, Zach's making this bet. Okay, let's give him the bet, and now let's move our odds in the other direction. So that's the way you're supposed to make book. So they are in Colorado, and I think they just opened in Iowa, and I don't expect them to sell out anytime soon. So you are going to see smaller players with their own market share. But we just had DraftKings CEO the other day announce to the world that they do not want people winning money at their sports book. I mean, he literally said, if you're playing for profit, we don't want you. This is entertainment. So unfortunately, that is the state of the business. We on gambling Twitter like to call them dressmakers, not bookmakers, because they're literally just preying on, degenerate. And let's put a disclaimer out there. Gambling is a sin. It's an addictive behavior, and it ruins lives. And so I want to be very serious about this. Like, this is something to be enjoyed with spending money that you can afford to lose. Someone like me, I've been doing sports gambling for many, many years, overseas and in Vegas, and going through the ups and downs and learning my craft. But this is something to have fun with. Only bet with what you can. And these companies are preying on people. Oh, $1,000 risk free. So they get you to put in $1,000, which is more than most people should really be putting in. They get you to put it on one game. And if you lose it, they give you that little free bet token, which no one knows how to use. And then they get people feeling like they should be betting 1,000 a game. That's really not the way it should be. The future of sports gambling is going to be micro betting, which is you could bet as little as 10 cents on something. You could bet on the next pitch of the Indians game. You could bet if the Browns are going to have a field goal or a touchdown on this drive. That's the future of sports betting. In play, betting on specific things to happen during a game. That's what I see the future of sports betting right now.
Definitely live game with all those apps. Just amazing what you can bet. I mean, whether it's tennis, nest, serve, whatever. I mean, just like so much to digest every day you do it. And really, the last question I have is, you don't have to share this if you want to, because I know that you may not to, but I want a pick of the future, the 2022 NBA champion, the 2022 NFL Super Bowl winner, MLB winner, if the lockout doesn't lock us out, and Stanley Cup winner, the 4 major sports. What are your picks?
Let's do it, Scott. I mean, so let me just tell you. So, like, I use all these free bets. I mean, I'll give away all my secrets. What do I have to lose? Like, I want to bring the whole hood with me. We're going to take these bookmakers down. So, anytime I get a free bet off a promotion, get $5 a touchdown this weekend, or get if you bet the Nuggets 2 days in a row, we're going to give you $50 free bet. I just put all those on futures, teams to win the title that I think can, and I build a portfolio. Okay, I have Excel documents with all 32 NFL teams, all 30 NBA teams. We just did it with baseball. Like I said, I'm not cocky about hockey, but I go to the Avalanche game once in a while. So I'm just going to tell you right now, the Avalanche is my pick. I like the Vegas Knights. I feel the energy from them every time I go to Vegas. And after that, I know nothing about hockey. So I call it a circle of competence. You got to stay within what you know. I don't do over unders. I'm not picking hockey games. I don't even like picking football games because that ball is a weirdly shaped ball. And when that ball goes the wrong way and bounces the wrong way, you can have a 16-point swing, fumble, recovered, touchdown, 2 points when the other team's about to score. Keep that stuff away from me. I like the round balls, the golf, and the basketball, and the baseball. So baseball, again, not my strength. I go from the top down. I look at the odds and work it off there, along with the franchises like the Red Sox, the Yankees, Astros, and things like that. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have my favorite baseball player, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Scott, me and you watched his father growing up, and the guy was just a master. And the Blue Jays seem to have all my favorite players' sons, Bichette and all those other guys. So they bring the power, they bring the massive bats. I think they were learning a lot this year. I'm going to go Toronto Blue Jays. I think you could probably get them about 20-1 right now, and you got to be early with these things, because once that media, ESPN crew and all them catch wind of it, it's all over. So Blue Jays in the World Series. I'm going to go to, may as well take them against the Astros. Let's go. So let's go NFL. So hate to break it to you, I don't think the Browns are going to do it this year.
I don't think so.
I love the Baltimore Ravens, mainly because I love their quarterback, Lamar Jackson. He does it all. He's phenomenal. He's won the Heisman. He's won the MVP. His next step is the Super Bowl. He can dance and do whatever he wants to do around defenders. So I do like the Ravens this year. Now, again, you could get them at 15-1 right now. It's not like that. I'm not picking the Chiefs. I'm not picking the Bills. Okay. There's no value in that. So I'm always looking a little bit down. And then on the other side, I do like the Rams. So the Rams are in a bit of a funk right now. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers just beat up on them. I love the Packers. They've been to the NFC Championship game almost every year. Everyone wants to talk about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Look, I went to school with Tom Brady. I watched him from the stands do what he does. I'm not saying these teams can't win it all, but I'm talking about value. So Rams, you could get about 15-1. Ravens, you could get about 15-1. Let's put both of them in the Super Bowl and then just wait to see who wins at those odds. Let's talk NBA. So NBA is a whole different animal than the other leagues. Okay. I could cross off about 20 of the 30 teams and say they have no chance at winning the title. So the Cavs, we have no chance at winning the title, even if we make a trade for Ben Simmons or something like that. The teams that have a chance of winning the title right now, number one, Phoenix Suns. Okay. We know about the Warriors. They've won it a million times with Steph Curry. The Lakers. Okay. The Lakers are a sleeper right now because people are watching them sleepwalk through games. Well, guess what? They don't play the playoffs in November. They play them in May. So when LeBron James, and we've watched him, Scotty, in person, when LeBron James is ready in May, and he's got 4 other Hall of Famers on his team, so that's 5 total, and I'm going to name them for you: LeBron, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook. Yeah, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Sure. So when those guys get it going, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. If you want to get good odds on them, get the Lakers now. Coming from the Utah Jazz, just fantastic team ball they play there. They have who I think is the MVP of the league, which is Rudy Gobert, best defensive player in the league, best rebounder in the league. He's 7'2" and can dominate on offense if he so chooses, but he hasn't. Let's go to the East. We've got, who do we have in the East? Well, so the Brooklyn Nets, there's 3-1 that win the championship. Overrated. Okay. So if the Nets win the championship, I'm not saying they can't. Okay. They have, two of the best players we've ever seen, Durant and Harden. If Kyrie Irving ever gets a jab into his arm with the vaccine, throw another one in there. But they don't have big men. I don't see the Nets winning it. I didn't last year. I had the Bucks against the Suns last year. Guess what? Bucks Suns finals. I cleaned up. Okay. So I'm looking at teams like that. So I've got the Bucks. I snagged them at 18-1 when they were a little sluggish out of the gates. I'm looking at the Bucks, man. Boy, oh boy, the East, they got the Sixers. So I think if the Sixers do move Ben Simmons for some talent, I do think the Sixers can make a run at it. But in general, I'm going to stick with the Bucks, and let's go. I'm not going to say the Suns are going to make it back there. I'm going to say the Lakers, the Warriors even. But, Suns, Bucks, we could see it again.
We could see it again for sure. And last pick, I mean, you have the Masters backdrop. You're a golfer. You're a scratch golfer at Orange, one of the best varsity Orange golfers of all time. Who's winning the Masters in 2022?
That's the question everybody wants to know. So when we go to golf, it's a completely different animal again. The Masters has about the best 90 players or so in the world. And it's just like the NBA, Scott. I could cross off about 60 to 70 players who have no chance to win the Masters. It's my favorite event to bet, just like the NBA championship is, because you can just eliminate 2/3 of the field. I've turned a profit at every Masters since, I don't remember the year, but Charles Schwartzel won out of nowhere. That was the last time I ever lost. I cleaned up on the last year's Masters with Hideki Matsuyama, and it's confirmed. You can check my Twitter, ask every bookmaker in the world. I had the best odds on Matsuyama, 62-1. Wow. So I'm not going to go down to the 60s right now, but the Masters winners usually come in the 20s and 30s. There's a guy named Bryson DeChambeau, people might have heard of. Everybody hates him. I think the Masters is built right for him. Tiger should be playing in the Masters, but we all know where he stands. If he tees it up, I'm not going to rule him out. Oh, yeah. Who's going to win the Masters? It's too close to call. So what I like to do is I like to build a portfolio of players. So I do look in that 20s, 30s, 40s range. A guy even like a Daniel Berger. Okay, everybody knows about John Rahm and Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. They're going to be there. So all these guys are going to be there. You've got to watch the Masters. You got to wait for the day one to be over. You got to watch some of these guys maybe shoot an even par or one over on day one. And that's when you're going to bet the Masters. Okay. If you're betting the Masters right now, great. You can, but don't bet the favorites right now. Wait for them to fall back. Watch that tournament. After every day, I want you to go look at the odds at night. That's when you bet the Masters.
Man, this was so insightful. Great feedback from Zach. I hope everyone listened, because you can be a millionaire by listening to this guy, of what he's done in the sports book, the sports betting, the investor. What fantastic insight, Zach. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to have you on in the future too, to talk big events of gambling here in the future. Tell your fam I said hello. Thanks so much, Zach. And we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Thanks again, Scott. Your podcast is awesome. Scott takes everybody needs to listen to it.
Thanks so much, man. Have a great one. Keep it lean and clean.